Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo rant. Let's get straight into the questions. Okay, an interesting question from my kohai. Someone's injured and just takes part in Mitori Geiko from the very start of the Keiko. Should they bow in with everyone else and then just sit on the bench and watch? Thought it might be interesting, also maybe worth asking on the early access group instead. Okay, so this is a question that actually came to me by a private message, I think. So essentially, the question is, if someone's injured and they can't actually practice, but they still want to come to the dojo and participate at least in Mitori Geiko. Mitori Geiko being watching practice, so they want to watch practice and learn as much as they can from watching. Which, if you are in that situation, it's definitely something that I recommend that you do. It really is a great way to maximize your sort of ability to improve at Kendo, even when you can't physically partake in the practice. Mitori Geiko is a super important part of Kendo. So yeah, definitely do that if you're in that situation. But in terms of the question, if somebody's in that situation, they come to the dojo, should they also join in with the sort of lineup when everyone lines up at the start and you do your bowing and stuff like that? Well, really, it depends on the actual dojo leader or the teacher. It's up to them, really. To be honest, yeah, I mean, I think it's nice if they do. I think I would prefer to, if I was in that situation. It depends on what kind of injury it is, of course. If it's one that means they can't sit down, then obviously that's going to be a bit awkward. But yeah, I mean, preferably, I think it would be good if they did that. But yeah, I wouldn't say they kind of, I guess it really depends on your dojo and your dojo leader. One thing I would say just on that is that, if you are injured or there's something, a reason why you can't practice, just ask yourself if it really is the case that you can't practice at all. Obviously doing Mitori Geiko is super important. But I remember at one of the kids clubs I used to teach at in Japan before I came back to the UK, there was a girl and she'd started Kendo much later than the other kids. She started when she was a fifth year at primary school. So she would have been 10, 11 at the time. And that's much later than the other kids, but she really wanted to get as good at Kendo as she possibly could in the time that she had. And one day she injured herself. She actually, I think she strained her Achilles tendon or something. No. She fell over in the dojo. She fell over and I think she broke a bone in her foot. And she had a cast on her foot for a few months. But she came to the dojo every practice, 3 times a week. She put on her dogi and hakama still. Obviously, she partook in the lineup, and she either sat in a chair because she couldn't stand with the shinai and performed suburi in a chair, or in that dojo they had an uchikomi dai, so like a thing with the bogu on it that you could practice hitting against, and they put this. Well, I say she did it herself. She went in the cupboard and got it out by herself and set it to the lower height and sat in the chair opposite it and practiced hitting the uchikomi dai. So even though she couldn't walk, she couldn't stand up, she was still coming along and doing it. So it's great if you're able to do that as well. Okay, next question. This is a great question. It's a bit of a difficult one, though. Hi, Andy. I'm a Canadian teaching Kendo at an international school in Gunma Prefecture, Japan. Basically, I have about 9 lessons to teach a group of about 25 to 30 7th grade students the basics of Kendo. It takes about 3 to 4 lessons to teach them how to put on their bogu. The rest of the time is teaching Kendo basics like ashisabaki and men strikes. I've even attached small balloons to their men and had them fight each other to make it fun. I know Kendo is a discipline that takes years of practice, but do you know of any fun skill-building activities that younger students enjoy? Most of the students do not enjoy the Kendo unit, so I want to change that at my school. Wow, okay. This is difficult because I do understand the situation. I know how it works in that sort of education system. The fact is the kids that enjoy Kendo or would enjoy Kendo are already doing Kendo by that stage usually. So yeah, you're always going to get kind of the group of kids that chose not to do Kendo when they were younger. There's a couple of things I'd say. First, you've got them only for 9 sessions, but you say that you're teaching them how to put on the bogu. In my opinion, I don't think they need to wear the bogu. I don't think they need to wear bogo, actually. I'd probably work on teaching them stuff like the bokuto ni yoru kihon waza keiko ho, either with a bokuto or using the shinai, and they don't need to wear the bogo for that. I think that's one of the things that probably they don't enjoy about kendo, is possibly wearing the bogo, especially if it's not theirs. So yeah, I'd probably focus less on them wearing the bogo, certainly not in the first few lessons. And I know what you mean about putting balloons on the men to make it fun and make it more enjoyable. And this isn't a nice answer, but I think you're kind of fighting an uphill battle there. I think it's very different in Japan to how it is in the West. Sort of outside of Japan, trying to teach kendo to youngsters. I think I can't tell if it's a high school or a junior high school. It doesn't make. Oh, it says 7th grade, so it must be junior high school. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get that sort of interest out of them. I don't think you're going to get much success with sort of inspiring them to enjoy kendo, because, as I say, I think the kids that would be interested in it, I think would already be doing it. And I think you run the risk of, if you kind of go down the path of teaching them balloon fights and stuff like this from the start, and then one of the kids or a few of the kids decide they want to start kendo and they actually go to a real dojo or something, they're going to be in for a bit of a shock, and it's going to be quite different. So yeah, I know, I understand that you hope that more of the students are going to enjoy kendo and then decide to continue practicing kendo after that. But I think that's a very, very challenging thing to do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I mean, like I say, the thing is, in Europe or America or in Canada, where you're from, I think if you have youngsters that don't know anything about kendo, they've got no idea or impression about what kendo is before they start, then you have a chance of sparking something in them they're going to think, oh, this is really fun, this is really great, this is different to how I thought it would be. But with kids in Japan, that they already know what kendo is, they know plenty about it before they even start. So yeah, I mean, I think you're better off trying to teach them kendo kind of properly. Like I say, I wouldn't start throwing them in bogo. And the ones that kind of gain an interest from that are the ones that will then go on to start, because you might, like I say, you might give them a tie balloons to their heads and stuff, and they're, oh, this is really fun. Okay, I'll go down the dojo, and it's totally different. They're going to quit at that stage anyway. So yeah, that's sort of where I am with that one. Next one. This is in response to the last video that I put out when I had a bit of a rant about women's shinai and about how women should use maybe a size 39 instead of 38. And there's a few comments on that, and I quite like them. There's some really good questions. So the first one says, really interesting point about women's shinai. Is there any rule against women using a heavier men's shinai? No, there's no rule against women using a heavier men's shinai at all. I've got the rule book here, actually. Right, where is it? So the specifications here, they say for a female, the shinai has to be less than 120 centimeters, so that's up to a 39 in length, and more than 440 grams. Now, a male shinai has to be more than 510 grams, so the ones that you would purchase for a man would normally be more than 510 grams. Which is, of course, more than 440 grams. So, yeah, that's fine to use, but it will indeed be heavy. And I think you would be putting yourself at a disadvantage by using a shinai like that, certainly in a competition. By all means, you could use it for practice or for training or whatever. But I don't think it's a necessity. Okay, next one. Andy, is a scarf shorter on a 38? I train with a very short woman. She definitely prefers a 38 for the grip. This is in hindsight after starting with a 39. Basically, her hands sit that bit too far apart on the tsukagawa on a 39. That being said, she may shorten the tsukagawa as well. Okay, let me just pop that down. Okay, here's a 39 and here's a 38. And if I line them up at the edge of the tsukagawa, here, you can probably see that they're about the same length. I think there might be the 38 may be maybe like a centimeter maximum smaller, like that much shorter. So I don't think that it's small enough to make an important difference. Certainly not as important as the extra 3 centimeters that you get from the overall length of the shinai. So yeah, if she's finding that the handle is too long, then the best option is to shorten tsukagawa. You can either do it yourself, or you can actually pick up tsukagawa that are shorter. But if she's already used a 38 and she's got 39, she could always swap the tsukagawa also. But yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, the difference in when you hold the shinai is like, so I'm looking at my monitor while I'm doing it so I can see that it's in shot. But the difference of holding it here and literally holding it here is, it's not enough, I'm afraid, I don't think, to make a big enough impact on her Kendo. And I think you made a comment after that about having sort of wrist or elbow problems or something. I printed them off, I'm not looking at the screen. But again, I don't think that much, which is literally what it is, in the difference of the length of the scar, is gonna make a difference on that. So I'm still sort of sticking by my guns on this one. Okay, next question. Hello, I need some tips for how to tie the Do Himo, the bottom one, better. Mine goes untied way too much during keiko, and it's getting very annoying and maybe a bit embarrassing. I mean, the truth is that the himo itself is quite short and slippery and full of sweat or salt. But at the same time, the only way I know to tie it is by doing the simple shoe knot, which most of the time is weakening, which results in it coming loose. Anyway, if you could share some better techniques tying it so it doesn't come loose, that'd be great. Yeah, I can. Absolutely no problem at all. Right. Okay. The challenge here is going to be getting it in the shot. Okay. So I can't see if I'm in shot here. I'm going to try and maneuver myself a little bit so I can perhaps just get this up in the shot. Right. Let's have a look. Okay. So when you tie this Do Himo, the ones at the bottom bottom here like this, all right? What you need to do is, yeah, it is the kind of the same knot that you do on your shoelaces, but can I get that high enough? Okay, here's the important part, right? You cross it over like that, and then one of these goes around like that, doesn't it? Yeah, in this way, okay? Then here's the important part, okay? It's where you're going to make the loop, all right? So let's make the loop from this side. Okay, we're going to make a loop on this side, right? And here's where you're going to sort of fail if you get it wrong, right? Is where we take this knot from here, cord from here. Can you see that as these come out, one of them comes out from the top of the knot this way, and one of them comes out from the bottom this way. Yeah? Okay? And basically, if you're making the loop from the one that comes from the top and this one comes from the bottom, then it has to come from below as you wrap it around the loop. Okay? If you wrap it around the top like that, if I wrap it, I don't know if you can see, I hope you can. If you wrap it over the top like that, all right, and then put it through, okay, so this is the wrong way, okay, and pull it this way, okay, then what happens is this is called tate musubi, okay, so it's stood upright, okay, and this is super easy to come and done during practice, okay, so instead, we have to do, and here's the thing, yeah, is that in the shot? I'm not sure, I think so, all right, what you have to do is get your loop, and if this is coming out from the bottom, take it underneath and pull it through, okay? This way, right? As you can see now, this is yoko musubi. Yoko musubi is sideways, it's sitting sideways, not vertically. This is harder to come and done during practice, but what you can also do, what you need to do is make sure that the loops and the sort of bits that hang off are about the same length. And by doing that, you'll figure out that the side that moves, yeah, of the loop, yeah? So this side of the loop is what's gonna pull this part through. So get the other side that's near the knot on both ends and pull that really tight like that. Okay, pull that really tight like that. And then you can get it here as well, below the knot, and pull that tight too, like that. And that's not going to come undone now throughout your practice. Okay? Doesn't matter how long you practice for. That ain't coming undone. All right? But if you do it the other way, with tate musubi, so it sits upright, then you're going to find that it comes undone really, really easily. All right? I think I talked about that in either the how to wear your borg video or how to wear your uniform video. But if you go and check them out, I talk a little bit more in depth about how to do the tate musubi. How not to do the tate musubi and how to do the yoko musubi. Okay, so that's what's going to fix that. Next one. Hello Andy, love the show. Recently I injured my knee and this has caused me to struggle with bending my knee too much, going below parallel. I can practice regularly for the most part, but I'm struggling with Seizar and Sonkyo. My question is, are there any variants of or alternatives to Seizar and Sonkyo that would be acceptable in terms of dojo etiquette? Yeah, absolutely. First off, speak to your teacher, tell them exactly what happened and that doing Seizar and Sonkyo is very difficult for you and it's painful and you can't do it. Instead of sitting in Seizar when you do the line up, you can either sit and sort of kneel up slightly or you can sit with your legs crossed. That's also okay. It's not ideal, but obviously if it's a medical reason or it's an injury reason, it's acceptable. Same with Sonkyo. Instead of when you go to Kamae and you go down to Sonkyo, instead of going down to Sonkyo this way from your knees, instead you can just lower your shinai to like a gedan posture and kind of bow this way at the same time, and then raise it up together as they stand up from Sonkyo. That's a really common thing for people that have got that sort of issue. So don't worry about it too much. I think you'll be just fine. Okay, these next questions are from the Kendo Show Early Access group. There's a link down in the description. If you're not in that group, get in the group. It's a free group. You can join. It's a great place to post your questions because there's like loads of other Kendokai in there from all over the world, all different levels, and it generates a really nice discussion as well. So not only will I answer them in this video, but you'll get the opinion of people from all around the world. So yeah, get in there and have a look. The first one says, hi all, Kendo RANT / general community question. What are people's preferred method of safety, of safely transporting Kendo equipment for overseas travel and practice, specifically regarding travel by air and preventing damage from any overzealous baggage handlers? And I'm going to read out the next question as well because it's linked to this. This one says, hi, I got a strange question here. I'm flying to the USA from Europe this Saturday and I'm willing to train Kendo there. I have everything set up, but I just realized there's no way for me to put a shinai in the suitcase. Do you have any tips for transporting shinai through an airport and not paying the extra fee for another bag? Right, okay, well, not paying a fee for another bag is a little bit difficult. The way you can get around that is either try and borrow one from over there. I think I saw in the comments you mentioned that might not be possible. You could potentially sort of order one and have it shipped there or something like that, or you could post one over there. A lot of long haul flights from Europe still don't actually charge you for the extra bag. It depends what airline you're going with. And it depends on I guess it depends on the destination. I don't know because in all honesty, I travel mainly for Kendo. So I did notice another question in there was saying about, I wonder what the national teams do and stuff. So to get to these questions properly, I mean, the first one is on about generally traveling. So what I do, my travel arrangements when I go abroad for Kendo, and this is what I do because I go abroad, and if I go abroad with my Borgo and my Kendo gear, I practice all the time while I'm there. It's not like for just one practice or something. Like you said, like someone mentioned about the national team and stuff. So I've had like I've a couple of different suitcases. I use a regular suitcase for my Borgo. I put it in there. I generally travel with it depends on the event, but generally I prefer to travel with a synthetic door. This is a synthetic door. Actually, a synthetic door rather than a bamboo door because it's just much more durable. I don't have to worry too much about those overzealous baggage handlers, as you mentioned, for a start. And yeah, I've got a couple of suitcases. It depends how long I'm going for. So I've got a bigger one and I've got a slightly smaller one. That's kind of one of those hard shell type cases, but it just fits my Borgo in it. outside of the bag. So I take the bag out of the boga bag. I put the boga in the case with the bag separately, and I jam some of my clothes in there. Doggy, hakama, stuff like that. And I think I take most of my personal clothes usually in hand luggage, actually carry-on luggage. And for my shinai, I normally never take away just one. I'll normally take 2 to 3 shinai with me. Again, because I'm usually going to practice for like several times and I could break one, especially if you're taking it through the airport. So I use one of these shinai bags. You can see these on KendoStar. I mean, loads of places have them anyway, but we do have them on KendoStar. This one's for 3 shinai. We always also have one for 5 shinai. And yeah, I put my shinai in here. These are really convenient for this sort of travel because you can fit up to sort of 3 shinai in here actually very easily. There's a pocket inside for your tsuba. The only thing that you do have to do is, if you can, these ones you can't do it so much, but with the ones for 5, which is actually what I use more because often I'm traveling with somebody else, so we put them all in one of the bigger ones for 5 shinai. But you can actually take this strap off them, and that's just a little bit safer. But with this one, because you can't take the strap off it, what you can do instead is that you can adjust the strap so that it goes really tight against it like that, and that will just reduce any sort of chance of it getting caught up or snagged or something when it's on this conveyor belt. But other than that, I mean, shinai, boga, it's not super fragile stuff. It's not made of glass, right? So obviously you want it to be handled with care, but you can tell the people at the airline, you know, oh, this is you know, it's a little bit fragile, so if you could put a fragile sticker on it or a tag on it or something like that, you could request them to do that. As for avoiding the cost, it's a real difficult one because more and more airlines now are starting to charge for that extra bag. I tend to fly often with airlines that don't charge that, but I mean, I usually just have to look it up to figure out what's the cheapest price for me to fly, whether it's cheaper for me to fly with an airline that doesn't charge extra for the bag, or whether it's cheaper for me to fly with a cheaper airline that maybe charges extra for the bag, and if I add it up it's still cheaper than the other ticket. Is generally what I do. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I think your only options are to maybe try and get in touch with people over there and hopefully they can you know, lend you one. I know you said in the comments that potentially you weren't able to borrow one from the dojo because, you know, it's a consumable item, but maybe somebody at the dojo would lend you one personally. If you came to my dojo in Manchester from anywhere in the world, I'd be happy to lend you one of my own personal shinai. I'm sure there's other people there as well. If you just put it out there in advance, really. So yeah, and for the first question about your actual boga, like I say, like a hard shell suitcase, pretty good. Or my bigger one actually isn't actually a hard one. It's a bit of a softer one. But yeah, I just make sure my boga's in there and it's all packed up and nice and padded in there, if you know what I mean. Just drop my paper on the floor, right? Okay, last one. I'm new to the Kendo community. I've been watching the backlog of videos. They're very helpful. Thank you. No, thank you for watching. Has the topic of kata been covered? If so, please direct me to where I can find it. My dojo focuses a lot on both the Bokuto no Yoru Kihon Waza Keikoho and Nihon Kendo Kata, but I need a little extra help. I find it difficult to learn everything in class, and I like to find rules or patterns to help me remember, not just by doing it or watching over and over. Any hints or tips? Okay, great. No, I haven't got a kata video yet. I've got one planned. All right, so watch this space. It will be coming soon. In the meantime, there's the kata book, which I think is out of stock on KendoStar at the minute, but I've got it on the way. Yeah, it looks like they're out of stock. There's books on kata. The other thing you can look up is if you go onto YouTube, you can check out the All Japan Kendo Federation kata instructional videos. They're a bit old, and actually, because they're aged, they've actually They're a little bit outdated, actually, the actual movements of the kata, but not massively. So you could use those as well. I used those when I was a beginner. I think they're on YouTube. Or you can watch the kata demonstrations from the All Japan Kendo Championships, stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, I'll do my best to get a kata video out as soon as I can. So with that being said, that's it for today. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you've got another question or anything that you'd like me to talk about in the next video. Don't forget to join the Kendo Show Early Access group. Links in there down below. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. You know all that stuff. I've said it before. I don't think it's the first time you're hearing it. And don't forget to do your Kendo shopping at KendoStar.com. We've still got the New Year sale on. We've got some great new products like the Gaia uniform, the Shinai. We've got the Junki Shinai, which is really great. Jisengata Shinai. We've got the Koren Shinai, which is the large grip Shinai, if you like something that's got a bit of a larger grip. We've got the all-purpose Shinai, our most popular Shinai. Obviously the Borgu is discounted as well. You can still pick up the V1 Borgu. You can get the Vanguard Borgu, our most popular Borgu, with a free Borgu bag, the Budo Wing Borgu bag. It's a really nice Borgu bag. I did mention in the last video that the instructional books are back in stock, and I did say that I thought they would be out of stock by the following week, which is this week, of course. Yeah, they sold out over the weekend. I think they sold out in like 48 hours again, and I got more than I normally do. So yeah, they're out of stock again, but they're coming back. I have already asked the All Japan Kendo Federation for more of them. They are on the way as we speak. They shipped them out to me today. It's actually the biggest shipment of them they've sent us so far this time. So they will be coming back in very soon. But if you do want one of them, make sure you keep checking the KendoStar website because as soon as they come back into stock, they'll be sold out again straight away. I'm pretty sure of it. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you all next time.